She swiped her badge at 6:45 every morning, hours before anyone else arrived, not because she needed the job, but because she needed to know who these people really were. Mara Voss had inherited 61% of Voss Whitfield Holdings the day her father died. She had also inherited his enemies, his blind spots, and a company crawling with people who smiled to his face and rewrote his legacy behind his back. So she did the only thing that made sense to a woman raised to trust numbers over people. She erased herself, cut her hair, dropped her last name, and walked in the front door as Mara Reyes, a temp assigned to the mailroom. Nobody looked twice at a woman who refilled the coffee machine and carried other people's dry cleaning. Nobody except Devon Ashcroft, who seemed to enjoy it a little too much. Devon was the kind of executive who inherited confidence before he inherited competence. A VP by 32, mostly on the strength of his last name and his talent for making other people feel small. He decided within a week that Mara Reyes existed for his amusement. "You misfiled the Kessler contracts again," he said one morning, loud enough for the open floor to hear, holding the folder like evidence in a trial. "Do you people not train interns anymore, or is it just you?" She said nothing. She never said much. She just watched the way people spoke when they thought no one who mattered was listening. It wasn't only Devon. His mother, Constance Ashcroft, sat on the board, a woman who'd spent 30 years mistaking old money for good judgment. Constance treated the entire building like an extension of her drawing room, and the staff like servants who'd wandered in from the wrong entrance. She was the one who'd hired Devon into his role in the first place, and the one who protected him every time his name showed up in a complaint. "Mara Reyes," Constance said once, reading the badge like it was a typo, "make sure the coffee's ready before the board arrives. And do try to be invisible. This isn't a room for people like you." Mara refilled the cups without a word. It got worse before it got better. Devon started routing her the worst tasks on purpose, reprinting 100-page decks over typos that didn't exist, sending her on coffee runs during board prep, making sure she was standing in the room silent whenever he wanted an audience for his own performance of power. Constance, for her part, began floating rumors that the new mailroom girl was stealing supplies, quietly building a paper trail to have her removed before anyone asked questions. The two of them, mother and son, treated the company like something they were entitled to, and Mara like an inconvenience they intended to erase. "You know," Devon told her one evening, loosening his tie after everyone else had gone home, "people like you don't last here. This building eats people who don't belong in it." He smiled like he was doing her a favor. "One more mistake and I'll have HR walk you out myself. Maybe even call security. Might do good, humility." Constance, passing by, added her own version a few days later, cornering Mara near the elevators with the practiced ease of someone who'd never once been told no. "I've already spoken to legal about your little supply issue. You'll be gone by Friday, and no one here will remember your name by Monday." Mara looked at both of them in turn with the same calm. It should have unsettled them. It didn't. They mistook her silence for defeat. By the third week, something in her had simply had enough. She stopped hiding it, not with proof yet, just with words. "I own this company," Mara said quietly, standing her ground in the hallway for the first time. 61% of it. I'm not the mailroom girl you think I am." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Devon laughed, the kind of laugh that came too easily, too loudly, meant to be heard by anyone still in the office. "You asterisk on the company." He wiped at his eye like she'd told the funniest joke he'd heard all year. "That's incredible, truly. Should we call a doctor, or do you just need to sleep more?" Constance's smile was thinner, crueler. "Sweetheart, I think you should stop hallucinating and get back to the mail cart before I have someone escort you to HR myself. Delusions like that are exactly why people like you don't get taken seriously." Mara didn't argue. She'd learned a long time ago that the truth doesn't need to be defended in a hallway, only proven in the room that counts. Friday, then, was all she said and walked away. Neither of them had any idea they just laughed in the face of the only person in the building who could end both their careers with a single signature. The reveal came 2 days later, in the last place either of them expected. The boardroom Devon had spent his whole career trying to get invited into, and the room Constance had ruled like a queen for 3 decades. The company was announcing its new leadership structure following the founder's passing. Devin had lobbied hard for a board seat, certain his name and charm had finally earned it. Constance had all but written the announcement herself, assuming her son's promotion was a formality. Both walked in dressed for a coronation. Instead, they found Mara Reyes already seated, at the head of the table, not the door. The room went quiet. The general counsel stood and made the introduction plainly, the way you'd read a fact rather than announce a surprise. For those who haven't met her formally, Mara Voss, majority shareholder and incoming CEO of Voss Whitfield Holdings. Devin's laugh from 2 days earlier came back to him all at once, curdling into something closer to nausea. Constance's composure cracked for exactly 1 second before she rebuilt it, too late for anyone to unsee. "You told me to stop hallucinating," Mara said, her voice even, almost gentle, looking at Constance first, then her son. "And you told me no one would remember my name by Monday." She let the silence sit. "I'd like the board to remember it very clearly, actually, starting today." Nobody in the room laughed this time. Nobody needed to. The silence did the work. Her first executive decision took less than an hour. Devin's termination was processed before lunch, his access badge deactivated before he'd even reached the elevator. Constance's board seat, a formality her family had held for 2 generations, was quietly and permanently retired in the same meeting. Her decades of influence dissolved with the same ease she'd once used to dismiss a mailroom girl by name. Security, the very department Devin had threatened to summon against her, walked him out instead, past the mailroom where he'd once made her feel smaller than she'd ever let herself feel again. She didn't watch either of them go. She was already reviewing her father's old files, the ones no one had touched since he died, looking for the names of the people who protected his vision instead of exploiting it. The quiet ones, the ones who'd never once made her feel small, because they'd never needed to know who she was to treat her with respect. Because the game had never really been about Devin or his mother. It was about finding out who Voss Whitfield Holdings really was, underneath the smiles and the titles, and now, finally, she knew exactly where to start rebuilding it. The street rat everyone underestimated was never poor. She was just patient, and she never forgot who laughed at her and who didn't.